live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com. This is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
What do you think? Pierre runs away with it. Won't go into this in too much detail. You probably know the story by now. 71% of the popular vote, 68% of the required points, and perhaps the most astonishing, he wins 330 out of 338 ridings. All the other candidates combined win 8 ridings. Pierre wins 330. Your comments, not just on that. I want something more than, just congratulations. So let's see if we can get into this a little bit deeper, okay? Your thoughts, particularly on the acceptance speech and the message. Very clearly, and the message has been, I think, pretty clear right from day one. As far as Pierre is concerned, the number one problem facing Canadians today is the economy. But here is where he and Trudeau will differ. And this is what the big battle is going to be about during the next federal election. There's no question that Pierre's answer is to get the economy booming again by getting people to work at highly paid jobs. Open up the pipelines, open up manufacturing, bring investment back. Let's get this place going. Build pipelines, get the energy business going again, get manufacturing going again. And one of the ways that he wants to do this, lower taxes, kill the carbon tax immediately, lower tax, and get the government out of our lives to a degree as much as possible. There is no question. He keeps talking about the gatekeepers, and he's absolutely right. One of the greatest impediments to development in this country is the immense, incredible red tape to get almost anything done. In fact, we have created a country where it's almost impossible to get anything done. I've used the example before. 2 years ago, we needed a new culvert, just a simple little culvert across the road, Richardson Side Road here. Now, and back in the old days, before governments decided everything, that they had to get involved in everything, you would simply, you'd have to go to the township and say, listen, we gotta close the road for a couple of days. Let's create a detour. And then the men would go in, they'd dig it up, put the culvert in, cover it up again, repave, and that was it. Probably all done in about 2 or 3 days. Now, in order to put a culvert in, one culvert, it's going to take you about 6 months. Environmental studies, that one of the problems, and I'm just using this as one example, that the country is rife with examples like this. This is just one culvert, one little culvert. Should have been a 1 or 2 day job, maybe even a 1 day job. Okay. So there's a ditch running beside the Richardson Side Road here. And in the spring, the water runs. So guess what? Not only did they have to check with the environment and do all the environmental studies and everything, they installed a culvert. There was already a culvert there, but they have to put a new one in. Oh, we got to have environmental studies. The fisheries got involved because someone said they thought they saw some minnows up and down the damn creek. It was about 6 months to get a simple culvert. Can you imagine the amount of man hours, the amount of money involved in just installing one culvert? That is a story repeated thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times across this country at every level. Government got environmental. I have a really good friend. He's got a farm not far from here. Guess what? One spring, the beavers built a dam and flooded his road. So what did he do? Well, he went and he broke the dam. Didn't kill any beaver, just broke the dam. And down went, one of his neighbors reported him. This guy almost ended up in court. And once again, fisheries had to get involved because apparently there was some, I don't know, catfish or something came. It's quite astonishing. But so what Pierre is saying, he doesn't go into these specifics, but that's what he's saying is, look, there's far too much of this. We got to get the government out of our lives, for God's sake. I thought one of his best lines I don't know what you did, but I thought one of his best lines was, "We don't need a government to run our lives. We need a government to run a passport office." I thought that was a pretty apropos. But one of the problems he's going to face is that you can be sure that while he believes that what we want to do is get business going again, lower taxes, cut expenses, get a smaller government, get rid of a lot of the red tape, get things moving again, okay? That's his solution. Trudeau, on the other hand, has made it very plain. In fact, that the budget's already there. His answer to it all is going to be pour billions of money, millions more dollars. So that's going to be the big campaign. If Trudeau is going to try to bribe us, it's not happened many times before, bribe us with our own money. His answer to it is to pour billions of dollars more into the economy, more checks going out to more people. Pierre, that's not his solution. So people are going to have to make up their minds. What do you think is going to work to cut inflation here? So I just throw that out. Do you think he's on the right path here? Do you think people will if they start getting more checks from Trudeau, is that going to sway it? I don't know. I really don't know. One of the things that's it's very obvious. There's no question that with some rare exceptions, I mean, particularly Brian Lilly has been very supportive and I think very, very upfront and very honest, his coverage in the Sun. But essentially, the rest of the media has been very, very often the media is very subtle in its discrimination and bias. Let me give you one example of the bias, okay? The front page of the National Post today. Now, the National Post is supposed to be a conservative, at least a slightly to the right newspaper. Not so much anymore, not since Trudeau started to give them millions of dollars, right? So, big picture, nice picture, I grant you that, nice picture of Pierre this morning in the National Post. The cut line, that's the line right underneath, says one of his first jobs is going to be to unify the party. What? 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 He's just got 71% popular vote. He won with 330 out of 338 ridings. He said, "My arms are open to you." Already Jean Charest has come forward and said, we've all got to get together here. But the National Post, national newspaper, says one of his first jobs is going to be to unify. Well, what the hell do you call 71% support? If that's not unification, then my arse is a star, okay? I mean, but see, it's so subtle, though. It's so subtle because the main theme of the media throughout all of Pierre's campaign has been, it's very divisive. I didn't find the campaign divisive at all. In fact, Pierre hardly even mentioned Trudeau, and once in a while he'd talk about passport office or something. He gave a couple of shots to Charest, but I mean that's fair game. But no, the media, as far as it's extremely divisive because this plays into the myth, the stereotype of Pierre as being a very divisive guy, a little scrapper, okay, a little corner fighter. So now even though he gets 71% of the popular vote, no other politician in the history of mankind, legally and an honest one, has ever got 71%. If you ran for a person of the bloc, you think you'd get 71%? I don't think so. I know I wouldn't. I'd be lucky to get 1%. But anyway, John, you'd get 2%. No, but
because
John, do you understand the point I'm making here? The subtlety of it.
I do.
Continue this stereotype of this very divisive guy. He's going to, and the whole country will be divided. I'm going to tell you right now, the Conservative Party of Canada has never been more unified. 71% popular vote. How can you get more unified than that?
No.
Did you see any divisiveness in this speech? Have you seen any divisiveness since? But
no, he was really good. He addressed every single other person who was up for that leadership by name, acknowledged a lot of their spouses and the work that they did, and thanked them for the ideas that they brought forward. That didn't say anything about divisiveness to me.
Well,
That's dangerous.
71%, as far as I'm
Wow.
concerned, indicates a pretty unified party. But they've got to
Absolutely.
continue, because that's the big thing. I mean, they've got to continue with the stereotype that they helped to create, that he is so divisive. He is so combative that women can't go to, they just that's the stereotype. So very subtly, even the National Post, one of his first jobs is going to be to unify the party. Yay, 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 yay. Anyway, your comments on that, and what do you think of the upcoming campaign? It's going to be, Pierre, get people back to work, open the country up, bring investment back here, cut government, cut expenses, cut $1 billion out of the CBC to begin with. Um, but Trudeau, on the other hand, his answer is going to be pour more money in. And we're already seeing the evidence of that, more and more billions. I mean, we're already, and one of the things, a lot of people still don't know this, but this is a fact, that Trudeau has piled up more debt in this country than all other previous prime ministers combined. Now, COVID played a small role in that, but he was well towards that even before COVID came along. But just think of that. And this Pierre has, and actually Pierre Poilievre is one of the first members of parliament to start talking about the fact that we were facing inflation. I remember back as early as I think, 2 or 3 years ago in the House, he would stand and said, "Listen, if you keep pouring money, if you keep printing more and more money like this, we're going to see some very serious inflation." And what have we got? Very serious inflation. Check the price of food lately. Oh, by the way, I must tell you, when we're talking about subtleties, John, here, it's not just the media. My wife buys this package of trail mix cookies. Well, I forget what you call them. And she came to me this morning, very upset. In the past, there have been 5 of these little bars in there. Okay. Now the price is exactly the same. The box is exactly the same, but now there's only 4.
Mm-hmm.
Same price, but one less. I mean, that's a 25, or, well, I don't know. You do the math on a 20% reduction. So I'm just using that as an illustration of what's happening with the cost of food. One of the things that I found very interesting was that I think that for the first time, a lot of people saw a side of Pierre Poilievre that they had not seen before. In fact, I saw a little bit. I saw a man very humane, very family oriented. I thought it was really interesting that his biological mother was there.
Yeah.
She gave him up as a teen. His adoptive parents were there. I found that very, very encouraging, very supportive. And that wife of his, wow. Someone suggested that maybe he should retire and let her run for prime
Well,
minister.
he said that this morning when he addressed his caucus. That why didn't she run? Yeah.
So I see he was very warm, very humane, very open to his competitors, as you've already stated, John.
Yep.
So I would hope that people would start to pay attention, because I think that the myth is still out there that he's just too combative, he's too divisive, he'll tear the country apart, etc., etc. Here is, when you stop and think about it, here is the prime minister, never had to work a real job in his life, worth millions, that he didn't earn, rich boy, dabbled in this, dabbled in that, and everything. And here is Pierre, given up by a unmarried teenage mother for adoption, raised by 2 school teachers, and essentially, and has just worked his butt off to reach where he is now. An ordinary guy, just an ordinary guy that you could sit down and have a beer with. Compare that to Justin Trudeau and the whole situation. I don't know. Whether it'll be enough to carry him through, but I'd sure like to hear what people have to say. John, what have we got in response to this point?
Huge response. Yeah, I didn't know his life story. I didn't know that he was adopted, so I can certainly relate on that level because I'm an adopted person as well.
Yes.
And to hear the story of his wife and her upbringing and Spanish speaking first and then French and then English. His French, by the way, it's fantastic. So that's
He's
going to be
very good,
interesting to have a conservative leader, when it comes to debates in the French language, who can really hold their own. Because traditionally, I mean, Mulroney was very, very good.
Diefenbaker, not so great.
Well, see, there you go. And a lot of them struggled and had very, English accents, held their own. But again, he's very good in French. So it's neat. And yeah, we talked about that on the show. Where is his wife? I haven't seen, much about her.
Sophie.
Yeah, no, Poilievre's wife.
Oh,
and there she was front and center when he won on the weekend, and she was first to speak, and I was blown away. She's an ace up the sleeve in a big way.
but here are a couple who have not come from privilege. Far
Right.
from it. Far
Right.
from it. She told a rather poignant story. I mean, living if she was living in East End, Montreal, they were living in near poverty. Believe me.
Yep.
Saint Henry. I know the area very well, and not too many billionaires or millionaires in Saint Henry in East End, Montreal. So here's a couple that have struggled, and just like most people out there, I mean that's the way most people. I mean, most people struggle. It's not easy. Life is not easy, unless you're born to a few $1,000,000.
And yet on social media on the weekend, when I posted simply that he had won the leadership race, person after person after person was saying, lifelong politician. This is the only job he's ever had. He has no experience. They're so quick to knock him down. I just,
Oh,
I don't understand it. Because then when they talk about Trudeau, they talk about, oh yeah, pampered, boy, always been around politics, and that's what gave him the just. I don't know. They're talking about both sides of their mouth. Let's get to some of the comments. Ruth just sent me a picture of, she has her little sticker on that says, I voted. So there you go. And she says, I'm so happy and relieved that Pierre got in. All MPs that I spoke with on Saturday loved him and his policies. Mainstream media will attack him. First, he was like Trump, which Trudeau is more like Trump. Both elites. Then I heard Evan Solomon talking to someone on his way to the washrooms that he was just like Trudeau. Make up your minds, people, says Ruth.
I have to comment here about Pierre's, I guess, number one enemy other than Trudeau, and that is Warren Kinsella. Warren Kinsella, I didn't hear it, but I've heard from a number of people, was on CFRA apparently, trying to raise, calling Pierre Trump North. I mean, this is, I guess all's fair in love, war, and politics, but this is really low. This is really a cheap shot, I mean, Pierre Poilievre is so far from Trump. I mean, Trump is a billionaire blowhard. I mean, how could you compare the to Trump North? But that's going to be that's kind of the scenario.
Convoy. That's the only thing they point to, because he supported that convoy.
Well, I don't know if he supported it. I mean, he went there. He's he's a very hard worker, and he's very curious. And by the way, he is extremely intelligent. He's a speed reader. I don't know if you know this or not.
Listen, I don't question his intelligence at all.
Yeah, he can read an entire book in about 10, 15 minutes. But so he went there because he wanted to find out what they're complaining. I mean, if I had been better, if I had been able, I would have gone to find out as well. That would have been part of my job, and it also just to satiate my curiosity. I was like, we got all these people coming all this way, spending their own money,
Yep.
Thousands of people applauding. What's going on here? I would have been there immediately if I had been able to. But so he's there to find out what's going on, and in some quarters, this is being thrown in his face. Mind you, if that's all they have to complain about, compared with everything that's happened with Trudeau, then maybe we're pretty fortunate. If the biggest complaint about Pierre Poilievre is he went and talked to a couple of truckers, oh my God. Go ahead. What else have we got here?
Listen, we got a ton of comments. Let's get to it. 613-413-2217. By the way, we invite your calls and your texts. This person says the legacy media is panicking, as are the red Tories. Cutting $2 billion CBC and legacy media is, in my opinion, a good place to start.
Let me clarify.
Yep.
He's made it very plain that he's going to cut CBC television. All right. He didn't talk about radio, CBC television. When he was asked about the almost $1 billion, over 600 million, well, it's close to $1 billion now, gone to the legacy media, the media, the print media. He says he has not made up his mind on that as yet. He says, you'll have to wait and see. Obviously, he's going to study. He wants to, as an intelligent person would be, he wants the media to survive. So he's going to have to find out, have meetings and say, listen, what, if we don't give you this money, $700 million, will you be able to survive, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's a very serious decision that he has not made. I just want to clarify it. Okay, go ahead.
That seems to be the reaction I got, too, from people. They were afraid this guy's going to cut. He's going to take and take away from me. Well, the counter argument to that is, no, I'm cutting so I can give more back to you. To me, that's an easy counter argument for him. All right, let's get to Dominic. Dominic says, Pierre Poilievre is the essence of what Canada represents, as he had to work hard to get to where he is at. And then his wife, wow, I was so impressed on how she speaks with confidence, very intelligent. Her French is incredible, and she's nothing like Sophie, and the kind of examples of a prime minister's wife that we need for this country. Gregory says the convoy needed dialogue. Pierre was on the right path. Let's go to a text. I'm happy with Pierre and look forward to him attaining the prime minister's position. The Liberal government is long in the tooth now and have broken too many promises, lied too much, and have had way too many scandals, just like the Dalton Wynne governments. Canadians want change, and Pierre will be there to lower taxes, give back freedoms, and to get away from these very costly green-thinking Liberal ways.
Well, as I pointed out, it's going to be a struggle. Because not only is he up against Trudeau and the Liberals, very powerful brand, let's be honest, he's also up against the NDP and their $1 million suits or whatever it is.
Yep.
He's up against the Green Party as well, the environmentalists. He will be opposed to him. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the unions. In the case of Doug Ford, he managed to persuade the unions to come on his side because he was talking about opening things up, building things, and creating union jobs, whereas the opposition parties wanted to cancel everything. So Doug Ford was able to get many of the unions on his side. Whether Pierre will be able to do this, I don't know. If he can, but otherwise he's up against a very biased media, the NDP, the Green Party, the environmentalists, Trudeau, and the Liberals. So folks, it ain't going to be an easy path, believe me.
No, and he acknowledged that too in the email he sent out on Saturday night. The email titled, "If I win tonight," he says, "I'm going to get punched. Trudeau's Liberals are going to unleash a wave of advertising attacking me, trying to scare Canadians before I can even punch back. How do I know? Because the media have reported that the Liberals are already set to, quote unquote, define me. It's coming, and it's coming fast." So
I think Warren Kinsella has begun that, or certainly carried it on. Trump North. That's essentially, I think, the message that the Liberals and the NDP are going to try and portray, that we're dealing with a Donald Trump up here. I have to get a word in here.
Yes, you do.
For our good friends at Shields up there in Pakenham. Now, in addition to representing all of the major appliance manufacturers, Sony as well. So and for furniture as well, but they specialize actually in appliances and in Sony products. And once again, I want to point out, yes, money is very tight. There's no question about it. And most households, and they have a very good finance plan. They're very, very fair. You'll see. Check them out, including a finance plan where you don't have to pay for about another year to begin with. So they're in your corner. We're talking about Pierre in your corner. Shields is in your corner. At the very least, folks, they're a good company, well-established, wonderful reputation, been with us since 1947, the same family. You can't go wrong. At least, all I've ever asked is at least give them a chance. Okay? Don't just, blindly go with a big box store and ship your money off to Timbuktu. Okay? Well, I don't know, Hong Kong maybe. Keep it here in the valley. Shields.ca. Go ahead, please, John.
Ton of great comments. Thank you, folks. And thank you for sharing the show as well, letting more and more people know that Lowell is here and having these conversations every day. Hines says people are afraid of Pierre because he will be more fiscally responsible with our money, cancel some of the bad deals made by the Liberals, and hopefully trim the fat in the government. The freeloaders will not vote Conservative. Over to text 613-413-2217. I'm still steamed about Trudeau giving more than $600 million to various media, all of them our tax dollars. Have the Liberals ever paid for their ad scam debt? Asks Bruce in Harrow, Ontario.
No.
Mark says, very happy with Saturday's result, but the job has just begun to replace the Trudeau Liberals, feeling a little more confident for Canada's future. He says, give him hell, Pierre. There's also good news that Pierre is nationally known, unlike the former two PC leaders, suggests Eric. That's a good point. I like that.
What I'd like to hear some comments concerning his speech. I thought the speech was outstanding. In fact, at a couple of points, it had me almost in tears. I found so moving, so humane, and so on message. I mean, I remember the last time that I really felt like this was the Common Sense Revolution. I remember watching. Oh, my mind is gone here. Who was the premier? The Common Sense
Was
Revolution on Mike Harris.
Yeah.
I remember. I didn't know Mike Harris from Adam. I'm watching television one night, and on comes Mike Harris, and he starts talking about, listen, we've got to cut this, we've got to cut that. They had increased welfare by 20%. He says, we're going to decrease welfare payments by 20%. People put back to work. And I just suddenly said, oh my God, here is a guy that's talking sense. That's the last time really that I ever felt a politician was talking really right to me and talking about the real problems and real solutions. So from Mike Harris to Pierre Poilievre, it's a long wait. Go ahead, John.
You've certainly got some reaction to his speech. Kathy says, I enjoyed Pierre's speech. He talks to the average Canadian. He does not lecture or talk down to us. He gives Canadians hope for our future. He speaks as a leader who cares for his fellow Canadians. We've got an email that speaks to this as well. This is from Gilles. Gilles says, Pierre's speech has rejuvenated my hopes of defeating Justin. His plain speak can be understood by all. No innuendos, no misunderstanding, and no bullshit. Even the most ardent Liberal and NDP cannot say they do not understand what he is saying. Let's go to Michael. He says, Pierre has really struck a nerve with the gatekeeper strategy, and he's absolutely right. Sonia says, that speech, it gave me hope. His wife is a tremendous speaker as well. His secret weapon.
Let me ask you this, John.
Mm-hmm.
What the wife is I knew a little bit about her, but she really opened up. And
Yeah.
I, like a lot of people, I was really, really impressed. Do you think that's going to help him?
100%.
Why do you think that?
Because so just from a marketing standpoint, when and you and I have talked about this, and again, we said, I asked, where's his wife? Why are they not putting her out front? And then I saw a picture of her. I'm like, this is a very attractive, intelligent-looking, intelligent woman. I mean, her resume is unbelievable. And then to hear her speak on the weekend, I was absolutely blown away. It was the first time I'd ever heard her speak. So for those who have a knock on Pierre that, they say that he's not going to attract women. Well, he certainly attracted one woman, and she seems to kiss him an awful lot too. So
you were noticing that.
Well, but I think that says something to the average female voter that, I now that I'm seeing that side of him, I look at him a little bit differently. I would think they would anyway. There's definitely a softer side to him that's on display now that we didn't see before.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Here's a comment. She will help Pierre get the confidence of these women voters. I agree with you, Hein. Absolutely. People love to be bought with their own money, says Randy, regarding the Liberals and their spending. Pierre, says Lynn, over a 68% win. Can't be more happy for the Conservatives. Anne says, I'm so happy that Pierre is the new Conservative leader. He's the very best choice for Canada and its people. When he becomes Prime Minister, he'll put Canada back on top again and clean up the mess the Liberals have made. Him and his wife are a great couple. Go, Pierre, go. Behind you all the way. The Liberals are afraid of you. Yes, his wife is mentioned in just about every single post and every single comment we are getting. So that has made an immediate impact. Interesting.
Yeah, I'll be very interested. The relationship between Trudeau and Sophie,
It's a
which
question,
to
right?
me is a very, I find it hard to really understand what's going on there. But
Yeah.
that has never seemed to harm Trudeau. So I'm not sure if she's a very attractive person from all points of view.
And also
I
very
mean,
intelligent and also very articulate.
no, but I am just absolutely, I'm not quite convinced that that is going to help him with women. I just don't know. I would have to talk to some women who may have come around. So far, I have not met one woman who didn't like him before who likes him now. To be honest with you,
You're talking Poilievre, you're talking Trudeau.
Poilievre, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I just think, the more people
When I start hearing from women who did not like him before but like him now, who've changed their opinions, then I'll have a better view. But to this point, and I know several women who don't like him, and they still don't like him. So I'm not sure. I think he still has a real mountain to climb there.
Okay. Well, that'll be an interesting conversation that we should have in the days to come. Lowell, we're about half past. We've got a ton of comments left over. I will fill your inbox with all of these, and you've got some MP.
All right. And I will not be available tomorrow. I've got a doctor's appointment. So I'm out of commission for tomorrow. Right. But I'll be back Wednesday. Thank you all, folks. And don't forget, share, please. Please share, okay? It's the only way we can get our message out is you. You have the power to get this message out. It's called share. Thank you. Back on Wednesday.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.